Hello and welcome back to ParanormalNL Podcast. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host, Jen Noseworthy. I'm proud to announce that ParanormalNL Podcast is now broadcasting on UPRN United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM in New Orleans. That's New Orleans for the local folk over there. And the show, PNL Podcast, will be on 5 p.m. EST on Tuesdays with our pre-recorded UPRN debut tonight with segment 001. And follow UPRN at uprntalkradio.com and all their socials. ParanormalNL Podcast is also still available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, and YouTube. And let's give a shout out to the PNL Boots on the Ground team music in the background, made by Robert Dumont. He also makes the PNL Podcast official logos. Check him out on Season 1, Episode 28, with his Devil's Toy Box Part 2 radio episode, and follow him on IMDb. For tonight's UPRN 107.7 FM Paranormal USA Veterans episode, let's pay respect, remembrance, and a thank you for your service to all the active, retired, and brave heavenly veterans who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Let's give a shout out to the ParanormalNL Podcast Alumni-Network member with whom I discovered tonight's guest. A big shout out to author Teal Gray, who's also a non-denominational reverend, sacred site traveler, and Teal Gray was on ParanormalNL Podcast in Season 2 twice. And I discovered tonight's guest with her at the Independent Order of Oddfellow Cemetary in Denton, Texas, during their 31 days of Halloween. Now, these guests are backstage, and I'll get to them shortly. Now, it's time to pull up your cozy chair and grab your favorite color and listen in to ParanormalNL Podcast. It's a place where the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, and anywhere else in the world can share their paranormal experiences. PNL Podcast also believes in supporting people, places, and things to promote paranormal tourism and paranormal networking all over the world. Now, ParanormalNL Podcast, big thank you again to all of our PNL Podcast alumni guests from Season 1 and 2, and of course our fans. We want to hear your stories. Do you have any military, paranormal, UFO, metaphysical, cryptid creatures, folklore, historical books, or just tales of the weird you want to share as a guest at my PNL Podcast? Please reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or Gmail at paranormal.nl.podcast@gmail.com. And remember, after your episode, you'll become part of the PNL Podcast Alumni-Network. Make sure you click on the bell, like, share, and subscribe, and follow along on whatever platform you're listening in on to get updates for new episodes. Now, without further ado, let's bring on the stage the guests tonight. I have with me, coming in from the US of A, we've got Greg Stevens and we've got Brandon Lee, and they're coming in all the way from, like I said, good old US of A. Thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having us.
Yeah. Greg, tell us about RIP, Research and Investigation of the Paranormal.
Yeah.
First of all, Greg, you know what? And Brandon, before we proceed, I want to give you all a huge respect and thank you for your service.
Oh, it's my honor.
So if you notice,
my honor as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you, Greg, for your service. We really appreciate it. So tell us again about RIP, the Research and Investigation of the Paranormal. How did all this come about?
Yeah. So I used to see ghosts and dead people when I was a little kid. Around 4 or 5 years old, I started seeing all this stuff, and my parents and brothers and sisters would all think I was a crazy little kid. Didn't understand it and all that kind of stuff. But after a while, they understood. I knew there was something there, and I was talking things that they didn't see, but they realized it was a real deal. And I just grew up doing that my whole life. I used to actually see 7 or 8 years old, and then I did a backflip off the car at a drive-in theater, and I busted my head on the rocks. And I didn't see them anymore like I used to, but I can still hear them, and I can still see the shadow movements of them. Every now and then I'll get a flash of someone like me and Brandon did at the Olavaca County Jail a couple of years ago. But I've done it my whole life, even throughout the Army, my 26-year Army career, all over the world and all over the states and stuff like that. So as my career was winding down in 2007, 2008, we created a ghost hunting team in my house, and my daughter Stephanie, Brandon's sister, came up with the name Research Investigation of the Paranormal, and we call it RIP for short, and that's where it all started. And we've been all over the place, all over the states and stuff with it, and we have a great time. We're not in it to try to find a TV show or do anything like that. A lot of the things that we do with our investigations or with the team itself is that I do a lot of charity ghost hunts. Me and Brandon do for our veterans, and the 22 a day suicide awareness thing, and for those veterans that still need help and all kinds of stuff like that. But I've been doing that for the last 10, 15 years, once or twice a year, and we raised a ton of money for those groups and stuff in different charity organizations and stuff. But we're getting back into the good old fashioned ghost hunting with the people that needs help, and going to old historic places, because that's another thing that we do is help preserve historic buildings and towns and like town squares and stuff like that, like here in Granbury, Texas, which is very.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're both in Texas.
Very fun. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, Texas is very haunted.
Brandon's been doing it with me since he was about. Huh?
So Brandon, Greg said you've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I started to run. I was around 12, 13 years old.
So he kind of took you with him on the ghost hunting?
He did. I kind of like when those ghost hunting shows like TAPS, Ghost Hunters started. That's when I first started realizing and asking questions like, do ghosts really exist? And we joined, or I went along with my dad on one of our first teams, and just as in an observation capacity, because I still at that point in time was on the fence of, do they exist, do they not?
Right. Right.
So that's where I had my very first encounter with the spirit. I had my head, I felt 3 fingers go right here on my head, and my head gets pulled while I'm in a corner and nobody's around with me. So that right there, I was like, yep, okay, ghosts exist. Because
it's a little bit different, isn't it, Brandon, when you have an actual physical experience? I was kind of like you, I was a little bit skeptical, kind of like the whole Scully Mulder kind of thing. But when you actually have a physical experience, it's a little bit different. And being that y'all are military, I worked with Veterans Affairs USA. That was my job before I left USA. Now I'm in back to my hometown, Canada. And, I work a lot in the hospitals, and you do see, unfortunately, a lot of death. So with that comes spirits. So, I don't know if either of you can speak to that in your military career and how that kind of relates, spiritually and with the experiences that you've had.
I would say because when I joined the military, when I joined the Army, and I went to North Carolina, I was around a bunch of different races and cultures in the Army itself, and I would tell them hey, I'm a paranormal investigator, and they'd be like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I am. Show them our research investigation on the paranormal page, and then my nickname became Ghostbuster.
Ghostbuster. Okay. Yeah.
I think I dealt more with having more interactions with spirits and ghosts when I was actually working in a hospital setting more than I was working in the military side of it. If that makes sense.
Me too. I've had a lot of hospital things too, working a lot in the operation room, emergency room, recovery room, and and a lot of other areas like long-term palliative and rehab. We do get
Oh yeah,
military
definitely.
rehab and things like that. How about you, Greg?
When you're walking around and like 2:00 in the morning at a level 1 trauma center, and I'm not walking by myself right now. I'm feeling somebody walking with me, or I'm hearing a conversation behind me or footsteps, you name it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, when I retired from the Army, I went to the hospital security thing there in Teal, Texas, Bear Scott White, and we used to do the same thing. We used to have these little mag lights. They gave us mag lights to carry around, so we I'd go up to the abandoned parts of the hospital and set my light up there, or my flashlight up there, and have little flashlight sessions with whoever's hanging around.
I saw that flashlight session. I love that. Yeah.
And when you take and then you have people like Brandon was talking about, no way, there's no way. And then you take them with you like that, and then they're all about to poop their pants and get the heck back out. So it's fun.
I think, Greg and Brandon, a lot of it is like when you visit places like that, they know you're military, right? I mean, and I think that is a part of the trigger. But, sometimes you bring trigger objects. You're the trigger object. You don't need to bring an object.
Oh, exactly.
You're the trigger object.
You're absolutely
especially
right.
Because we went to the USS Lexington. I've been there. Oh yeah, that's a great investigation. I think I've only been there one time, but we use our military background and say, "Hey, I'm Army. Come on, who here's in the Navy? Let me see formation. Let's go. Come on." And you just see shadows just running around all over the place. Actually, Dad, I think you were the one.
With all of our equipment going off.
Yeah, I had a lot of K2 hits and stuff like that. Or what other kind of hits or equipment do you use?
Yeah, like the Paralight. A lot of stuff that we got from Jeremy Jones and Paranologies. That's periscopes and stuff like that with the tubes. It's got the different colors and everything that reads all the EMF, and when it touches, it's all directional, but it's pretty awesome. It's fun, and we use that kind of stuff and have a good time with it. The spirit boxes, of course, like Brandon was talking about on the USS Lexington, we get on the main deck just underneath the flight deck, and we had 1940s music going on.
Nice.
Music, like the Andrews Sisters, the Andrews Sisters, stuff like that. And I mean, everything went off, everything. So that's a good time. You know the environment. They say your audience. Same thing with ghosts or spirit in the spirit world. Know your spirit world, man. Because I'm telling you, it'll
right.
work.
Yeah.
As long as you talk in that time,
Yeah. So you were kind of helping them with the happy times, and I guess you get a lot of hits, when you bring back the happy times and music and dancing and stuff like that, right?
Right. Right on.
I love that. So, yeah. Have you ever had any things that stick out in your mind with a particular military ghost in particular, or things that they said to you, or on the spirit box maybe, or?
Oh, yeah.
Questions you've asked?
On the spirit box. Definitely. We definitely get a lot on the spirit box. I'm sorry, I'm backing up.
No, it's all good. Yeah, safety number one. So,
right.
Yeah, I was doing a little impromptu investigation there last night downtown. We had our very first, I guess I can bring this up on the stage here. I can present this one to you. In Newfoundland and Labrador, was it last year or this year? We just brought home a soldier, a tomb of unknown soldier here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And this was the first time we got to celebrate with him. And that was a really special thing here. We had thousands of people here for it. And I was just showing a little bit on the StreamYard screen there.
Oh, wow.
I can pull it up. So, yeah, wow. For the first time with our unknown soldier, we had thousands of people come down and see him and pay respects. after he was entombed, and now we got to finally show our respects to him.
Awesome.
And yeah, that was a really big deal for us. How did you guys celebrate today? Anything in particular that you did?
I worked.
Well,
You worked.
yeah,
No,
I went to. Go ahead, Brandon. Brandon, go ahead. I think he froze. Oh, there he is.
There he's back. You were going to say something, Brandon?
I might lose connection for like a tiny second. I'm going through the bad part of where I live, and it's like even with on the phone or texting, it's just really shoddy over here.
Well, that's okay. We still got.
Hear me?
Yep, yeah. I can still hear you.
Okay. What was I saying?
We were talking about what y'all did today, and being that here in Canada we call it the Remembrance Day, and of course in USA Veterans Day. And I've got several different poppies going on in my head here. I've got a right flag for US and one on the other side for Canada, but also the Beaumont Hamel with us is a big thing, because we do have a lot of our soldiers went in the Royal Newfoundland Regiment went over there to Beaumont Hamel.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today I went to my granddaughter's middle school. They had a veterans honoring event there. So her dad, who's a 2-time medal Purple Heart recipient, he couldn't make it. So me and Grandma, we went and represented, and it was a great thing. I mean, the schools at that age is great to be involved with the veteran stuff like that, and they were just amazing. It was amazing. It was pretty fun.
Thanks for doing that, Greg. And I know you mentioned earlier the 22 a day. Do you guys want to talk a little bit more about that for our folks listening here, especially who are veterans?
Yeah, the 22 a day is very near to both mine and Brandon's hearts. We both lost people, friends downrange and stuff like that. And
sorry about
normally
that.
I will do a Veteran Day event. When it falls on the weekend, it's so much easier to do and get done. Like last year, it was on a Saturday,
right?
And it was perfect. I mean, I had live bands, I had vendors, I do the whole 9 yards, all for the 22 a day. This year, falling on Monday, it just threw everything off. So I didn't really do anything like that. But 22 a day is just a number that they stuck with, because the actual real number is more like 56, 57 a day. That's the real number. And so we try to, throughout the whole year, even on our T-shirts, on the back of our T-shirt is a Drake flag, and in the middle of one of the stripes is 22 a day. I got on there, on top of the protection prayer that I have on the back of our shirts as well. So
I also would like to pull up something on stage here for the Veterans Crisis line, if y'all don't mind me doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, not at all.
I think this is really important, I think, for everybody, and even if you're not a veteran, if you know a veteran who needs help. And I'm just going to pull it up there. There it is. So
cool.
The Veterans Crisis Line, dial 988, then press 1. And, it's for veterans and their loved ones, and you don't have to be enrolled in VA benefits or healthcare to connect. You just dial 988 and press 1. You can chat online, or you can text 838-2555.
Cool.
And that's a really important thing for veterans to know about. That's for sure.
Awesome.
So let's bring it back to spooky stuff. Are you in an area now, Brandon, where you can talk a little bit more about your spooky episodes?
I'm actually about a minute away from my house, and I can actually just sit here and focus on y'all instead of driving.
Yeah, safety first. I was telling Greg that too.
Give me a second here.
So while he's doing that, Greg, do you want to talk about one of your other experiences that you had?
Oh, I've got hundreds and hundreds, because I've been pushed, punched, scratched, kicked, burnt throughout a lot of my investigations. So
was this all in Texas, or where did all this happen?
all over the place. Myrtle's Plantation, Cowtown Museum in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. Oh my gosh, some other places in the New Orleans area,
Thomas House
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up a few pictures of yourself and Brandon here, and maybe you can share or talk a little bit about some of the places where you were at. Let's see. There we go. I've got a picture of Greg here. Do you want to explain where this is at?
That's on the square here in Granbury, Texas. Granbury is very pro-military and veteran town, and the square is just the most amazing place you ever. It's a hallmark town. So there's like hundreds of signs like that around the square of different military personnel who served and everything. So a very good friend of mine actually sponsored that for me. So yep, that's out in front of Fisherman's Corner in the square in Granbury, Texas.
That's nice that they honor y'all like that. And this is yourself, and this is your logo. And yeah, I like the logo. Love Texas. And did you want to talk about the logo or the name of your company or how you came about?
Yeah, Research Investigation Paranormal. We sat around the house when we decided to break away from I'm going to be nice, dumb team that we were a part of, because their whole purpose was to try to get on TAPS or be part of the TAPS family, and it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. So everybody turned to me as a natural leader to create our own team. So we sit around the house one Saturday afternoon and trying to come up with the name, and then my daughter came up with the name Research Investigation Paranormal, RIP for short, and then that's how that came about. And my wife, or my ex-wife now, but we're still great friends, Brandon's mom, she came up with the logo with the Texas and the RIP on it and everything. So she came up with it all. That was a family thing.
Okay. So now where are you?
That's how it came about.
Where are you at here?
That's the Granbury. That's the courthouse right in the middle of the square in Granbury, Texas. And that statue is General Granbury.
Oh, that's General Granbury.
Franklin, killed in action. Yeah, he was killed in action in Franklin, Tennessee. That's in Kosovo.
Okay. Now this is yourself here. Your Army. Did you want to talk about where you were at there?
100%. There, I was in Kosovo. We were doing doing a takedown of a business that was running weapons, trying to supply to Al Qaeda. That there was an Al Qaeda faction there in Kosovo, in the middle of all the crap that was going on with Milosevic and the genocide of the Albanians and everybody else that's dealing with that. So our team was down. We were outer cordon. That means we're the outer sector. So anything that happens, we catch them coming out or go in to back them up. So that was what was going on there.
Thank you again for your service. And then we got Brandon. You want to talk a little bit about your 82nd Airborne?
Yep, I was with the 82nd Airborne from 2013 to the end of 2015, and I did a tour in Afghanistan with the 82nd Airborne. I was in Kandahar,
thank you for your service.
Afghanistan.
In Kandahar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My unit did get into a firefight, but unfortunately I was not a part of it. I say unfortunately because I wanted to be there with my guys and fight for our country, but unfortunately I was not able to be a part of it. But that was the only firefight that we got in, and everybody came home, which is the most important thing.
That's right. That's the most important. Bring them all home. There you are again.
God, I missed doing that. Yep, that's at. Yep, that's me getting up on an airplane to do a jump, and let me tell you, those jumps hurt when you land. And you want to when you jump out of an airplane in the military, you use static lines. So that's what the yellow things that you see on the guy in front of me, that line is attached to the parachute, and when you jump out, it pulls your parachute.
Yep. So you don't have to pull it yourself. It automatically pulls it for you. And then you hope you don't have too much wind. Hey, Brandon.
Oh, no. With me, I think the only thing that I was like always really nervous about was somebody coming underneath me and stealing my air, and then I'm starting to fall through their parachute, because that actually happened to me. My team leader of all people stole my air, and I'm like trying to slide off the parachute, like praying to God, please don't let me die, please don't let me die. And finally my parachute opens up, and then I'm like, okay, time to jettison. I'm like, well, oh shoot, there's the ground, bam.
Right? Yeah. Getting some scary stuff there for sure. I can imagine. And there are two of you guys there. Is this an event that you did?
Yeah, that's in that's in Jefferson, Texas, at the History, Haunts, and Legends Paranormal Conference. We go twice a year to that. It's such a great time. And Jody Helen Breckenridge is such an amazing person. She does the ghost walk there in Jefferson, Texas. If anybody's in that area, you need to go see her. She has the best, I think, the best one in the country, at least in the state of Texas for sure. But yeah, we love doing that. And that's me like doing a speaking engagement. How'd you get that picture?
I have Ways and Means Committee.
Yeah, really. So that's just me talking about Granbury itself, the haunted Granbury during the Paranormal Conference, and when I was doing a speaking engagement there. So
nice. So you did do some speaking. There's a few crazy buds that we know here.
Oh yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Any shout outs you want to give there?
Oh,
Mike and Chris.
There's guys? Mike and Chris from what used to be the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, but now they're the Wraith Chasers. You know, they've had Haunted Town Live, Ghost Asylum. Great friends of ours. Love those guys. They always come for us whenever I have an event.
Yeah, I think they're coming out with a new show or something, correct?
Yeah, Ghost Mob or something.
Ghost Mob, I believe.
Yeah, Ghost Mob. So everybody check them out too. And I think is this Denton? Not sure. I don't recognize that graveyard.
Is that I don't know. I think that is.
Yeah. So when you guys go to the graveyards, like any particular graveyards that you like to go to, do you always go to mostly the military graves or?
No, old graveyards. Ones that's got people buried back from the 1800s.
Yeah, they're the best ones, aren't they? They seem to be more active for some reason back then.
Right.
Dad actually, I don't know if he posted a video of it. Jesse Woodson James is supposedly buried in Granbury's graveyard, and he was having a full-blown conversation with him on Halloween night.
On Halloween night. Mm-hmm. And here's another event that y'all did.
Yeah, that's the event we did here in Granbury. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. Pecan Valley. Was it for Pecan Valley? This one?
That one was.
Or was it 22?
No, that one was. Yeah, that was in 22. So I think that one was for the animal farm that we did.
Yep.
Oh, Second Chance Farms?
Second Chance Farm, yeah.
Been there, done it, and proud of it. And again, thank you again for your service. And I really like this one. Absolutely. Now, I was going to show, there's I want to say a video, I do believe. Let me make this bigger and X out, but I think I shared one of the videos that you did with when you went. Here it is.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah, there it is.
My name's Greg. I really appreciate you talking to me. For confirmation, can you turn that flashlight back on? Thank you, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Are you really, or go ahead and turn it off. I'll ask you another question.
Love that, Greg.
Turn it all the way off, sir.
He does too, doesn't he?
Let go of it so I can ask you another question. I appreciate you talking to me. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
There we go. Yep.
Were you really in the Civil War and fought for the Confederacy? Was you a guerrilla? Did you do guerrilla warfare in the Civil War? Was that you?
There.
Thank you, sir.
He turned the flashlight
Thank
back
you. I
on.
really do appreciate
Yeah.
that.
I see they got a lot of.
That's my
coins.
favorite piece
Turn
of
it off.
equipment right
I'll
there.
ask you another question.
Yeah, the
Thank you for
flashlight
doing
thing.
this
I like
with me.
doing that
I
too.
really do appreciate it. My name is Greg, and I'm from the Research and Investigation of the Paranormal. I just saw something floating by very neatly to
Yeah, I
the
don't know if you look
flashlight. Go
close
ahead, turn it
enough,
off.
but
Thank you.
there
Thank
was
you.
a
Thank you.
little orb that just went flying right up into that flashlight.
And then he turned it off, right?
Yeah.
Did you
Yep.
set up
Yep.
your death with Bob Ford,
As soon as you saw the orb, you
the
turned it
Ford
off.
brothers?
Now, why are they putting
Did
so
you actually
much
do that?
coins
Was
and
that a
stuff on his
planned event?
grave?
Because he was a war veteran with the Civil War, and a lot of people, that's acknowledging the service.
Gotcha.
There's different meanings for the coins. The pennies is
No?
mostly just acknowledging that.
Oh, yes. Okay.
There's
Right on.
Oh, I just saw another orb. Yeah,
Right
yeah.
on.
Did you
That's
see the one
awesome.
down here on the floor,
Thank you,
on
sir.
the ground?
I saw that too.
That
Thank
was
you much.
insane.
I was
Go ahead and
wondering
turn it
though,
off.
was that your
Let go.
flashlight down in the grass?
Nope.
Let
I don't
go.
have I didn't have my flashlight. That was my phone.
Wow.
Let go.
Okay. And there was one that flew over the flashlight a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
Hey, I need to
Yeah.
ask you another
Yep.
question.
Only thing you
If
see on my
you
phone
wouldn't
is that
mind
little green dot from the laser, I
turning that
guess,
off.
from the whatever.
Yeah, isn't it great when you have a conversation and they
Somebody else with you?
respond?
Make it brighter if
Yes.
somebody else is with you, because I just saw
Yeah.
something
Yeah. You know, and I
I-
get a
right
lot of
up
people
into
that
where the
try to tell
flashlight's
me
at.
that the flashlight thing is
Or you can
not
flash
real.
it. Okay.
And
Let
I'm
it
like,
go. Simon,
how
thanks.
is it not real?
All right.
And they try to do some kind of scientific thing, like one would
Is
say,
your
well,
brother
the
actually
battery
Frank
swells and
James?
stuff like that. I said, the battery swelling and unswelling on command.
Thank you, sir.
How's that work for
Turn it
you?
off.
Because I've had them turn completely off and they'll work. I've had them work with a push button flashlight and they'll still come on and off without having it on.
Yeah. There's so many different techniques that you can do, but I mean that flashlight thing, unless you do it and have them respond and you're doing it, just like when Brandon, you mentioned, when you got physically touched, or Greg, when you said you had some physical stuff happen to you, and still that actually happens to you, if you can be skeptical up until that point, but until that happens, then did you all want to talk a little bit more about that? Greg, you said you got pushed, scratched, all kinds of stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, one of the things I think Brandon got on camera is that coming down the Langdon Center stairway, and I think the grandfather that still haunts the place, what's his name?
AP Gordon.
Yeah, AP Gordon. Yeah, I was talking a little smack with him upstairs, and so he got back on me about the last 3 or 4 steps of the come down that little old rickety, well, it's solid, but little wooden stairway that was solid, and just pushed me, and down I went four steps down.
Ouch.
That was that one. Yeah. Hey, but I kept my camera up like a beer, so I didn't break it or spill it. So.
So I don't care about you, Dad. I just need you to keep the camera safe.
That's right. So, I've been burnt at Motley County Jail.
You were burnt. What happened with that?
Go ahead.
You were burnt at the county jail?
Motley County Jail, went back. Yeah, Motley County. I'll let Brandon tell you about Motley County Jail. But we have so many experiences at Motley County Jail, Matador, Texas, which is out in the middle of no damn where, Texas, up near Lubbock in the Panhandle area. And so I went. This was one Brandon wasn't with me on. I just happened to be. I was in Lubbock for the Army, some of the Army stuff, and I went back there with the sheriff who befriended us and had us come and do a lot of stuff. Anyway, we were doing our own little session in that jail. It's one of those old square jails out in the middle, rock square
Very
jails
small.
out in the
Very
middle of nothing. Yeah, and we were up there, and we were I was talking, and I kept seeing these little red dots, red eyes or something inside this red eyes, like around the one of the beds. So I was sitting there talking and kind of talking some smack with them, because And then next thing you know, because I was in shorts, it was hot, it was summer, and felt something on my leg, and I was like, God, man, that hurts. And it's just like a cigarette burn. And that's
So you were talking
the red
smack
eyes
to him. So do you think that, this provoking made it worse? Like, what do you think about provoking versus?
Yeah, no, it wasn't full on. It wasn't a full on provoking, get up and come grab me kind of. No, it wasn't that. I was talking about a little bit about why they're there in that jail, what got you there in the first place, type thing. Kind of.
Yeah.
Talking
I guess
that way.
Brandy can speak a little bit to
Why
about.
you being in, yeah. But I'll tell you this. I'll let Brandon tell you his little story, but I'll tell you this. That was that really got a lot of people, and we went up there. And it was my team. Brandon, was you in there when that thing came out?
No, I think I was at
you was
Command Central. Yeah, because I remember hearing
when Amber got scratched.
Everybody get out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we get up there. We're up in the gallows area. So just like the jail here, the old jail here in Granbury, the Town Museum, in the gallows area, which was never used, is one cell, a little cell, and that was for women. And then you went around to the corner, and then you walked into another room, which was all the good grief, all the male cells are at. And so we got all up there. The sheriff was there. Two news guys from the Lubbock Avalanche Journal newspaper was there. The sheriff, his friend, my team member Chris, my team member Amber, my team member James, and Grady, and a couple other people. So a
lot of people were there,
but we were double arm intervals apart. Yeah, we were double arm intervals apart. We couldn't touch each other. So that's how I had it, was kind of in a semicircle. And my partner Chris was at the doorway into the male cell, and we just got up there, just got up there and just started talking. You couldn't see nothing except some ambient light from the cameras. And all of a sudden Chris goes, "Oh my God, you smell that? Oh man." I'm like, "What is it?" I can't smell anything because I'm way away from him. He goes, "It smells like burnt rubber." And that got my attention real quick. I said, "Burnt rubber?" He goes, yeah, it smells like burnt rubber. It's like burning my nose. So I worked my way over there, and I got to him, but I couldn't smell it. He goes, "Man, it's gone. It just left. It's gone." I'm like, "Okay, let me know if you smell it again." I worked my way back to where I was at, and about 2 minutes later, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, "Oh," I said, "Man, I got it. And they go, "You smell that burnt rubber too?" And I said, "That ain't burnt rubber," because it was burning my nose. I said, "That's freaking sulfur. It is straight up sulfur."
A lot of people say, when
and I looked
you're
over
around,
to where I can't see.
Yeah, when you're around spirits, some people say, you
really
get different senses.
Oh yeah, right. So, Chris goes, "Oh, He goes, "Man, I can't smell here." And I thought he was coming over. I was coming over to smell, get close to me, but he was coming quick. I was like, "How are you moving so fast in the dark?" So I stuck my arm out like this, like, "Dude, I'm right here." And but it didn't hit him. And all of a sudden, Amber, who was 2 arm lengths away from him, goes, "That's me, Greg." I said, "What's you?" She goes, "I have your arm." I said, "Amber, you're not touching me." And all of a sudden, she starts dry heaving and retching and everything. And then I hear Chris is still over there by his little spot and everything. So
I have to say the joke, Greg. Did somebody say, I have to say the terrible joke. Did somebody let one go or what?
Yeah.
But now you said something was holding onto your arm, and she wasn't in arm length, correct?
Correct. She thought she was had me by the arm.
So is this the place where you got scratched?
And she had these big scratches along her. She had these big scratches, deep scratches all down her arm. And we got her outside, and she was done for the night. But Everybody else was like, "Oh, I'm not going back up. I'm not going back up." What do? I turned around and marched my butt right back upstairs. And me and James and Grady and a couple of other people. And so this time it's just us, and we're just sitting there and we're facing the cell and we're talking to it. And I'm going, "I know who you are, and I know who I am. I'm strong in the faith. I'm washed in the blood of the Lamb. You can hurt the flesh, but you can't take the soul." And I'm just going like that. Well, Grady was kneeling down in front of me and James. So when I'm saying this, we both see Grady stand up and move back toward us, and both of us put our arms out and went, "Dude, Grady's like, what?" He's still leaning down on the ground. So that thing came back at us, but we didn't smell it this time. It was just like a rush. You could feel the wind, and then that was the end of that. But that was pretty cool.
So it sounded like you had a lot of activity there that night. And how did the girl do the next day? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't want to go back there again? Or
What's that? Did you hear?
does she still do investigations after that?
I didn't understand what.
Looks like Amber doing investigations?
I'm so sorry. You broke up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we were having some streaming issue there. Yeah, does Amber still do investigations after that?
Okay. No.
She stopped?
She was done.
Yeah. I've had some people who I've interviewed who, after they get a physical, aggressive thing happen, they do stop actually investigating, and understandably so. Correct?
Yeah. Exactly.
Brandon, have you ever had anything happen to you that made you double guess, what am I doing this for? Do I want to keep doing this?
Absolutely. So I was 16 years old, and I think I said this when I was either 14 or 15. I've been doing this for almost 20 years.
Maybe you can turn Brandon, if you're listening, you can turn your light on and so we can see you in the car.
Is that better?
There you go.
All right.
Hey.
So I'd asked you if you had any investigations that you've done where you've second guessed and maybe thought about, I wonder, do I want to keep doing this?
So when I was younger, I just started doing ghost hunting. We went to a private residence at an apartment complex, and I'm a brand new uncle at this point in time. And where we were at, the spirit or the entity that was there was messing with a bunch of kids. And of course, Ghost Adventures was on, and I wanted to be just like Zach Bagans. And I said, "How about you stop messing with these kids? How about you come and mess with me?"
Uh-oh.
And it kind of took me up on that offer, because it followed us home, and it kind of lay dormant for about a year in the house. But we would notice that some things were not in the same spot that they should have been. Dog food was up in a neat pile right next to the food bowl. It's like I highly doubt our dog was picking it up and then putting next to the bowl in a nice neat pile. The entertainment center was going on and off and everything. And then one of my nephews was having really terrible dreams. He would call him hee hee ha ha. It's hee hee ha ha. It's hee hee ha ha. It was messing with my nephew. And so me and my mom went in there one day.
How old was the nephew, Brandon?
I think he was about a year and a half old at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
we got started.
So then continue, okay. Brandon.
Yeah. So it left the room, but it didn't leave the house. And me being a high school student at that point in time, still, I guess you would say like the most vulnerable person in the house. That's not my nephews. It started slowly trying to take me over. There's about 3 months of my life I don't remember because I was oppressed to the point of possession by this entity.
Oh, wow.
I do not remember getting into arguments with my parents. I do not remember telling my mom that she was a B word. I don't remember shoving my dad so hard that when he fell back, he put a hole in the wall.
Wow.
I don't remember any of that. And I was starting to kind of notice that things were off whenever I was trying to go to sleep one night. And didn't we have an argument that night too? I can't remember. But
that night, the night you came back to the room?
Yeah.
So y'all were thinking that this may have been some sort of an attachment, Brandon?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely an attachment because I used inviting words. I literally invited the spirit to infest my life.
Okay.
And that night I was hearing scratching on the walls. I thought I was hearing Latin. I just could not for the life of me sleep, and I could not move, like sleep paralysis. So I closed my eyes and I started praying and praying and praying until finally I was able to move. And I'm 16, 17 years old. I grabbed the blanket I was using and a pillow, and I went into my dad's room and I said, "Dad, I'm sleeping on the floor." And he was like, "Okay, absolutely." And so the very next day, Dad comes into the room with the Bible in his hand, says, "We're going to bless the house." So I got up. We started walking around the house with the Bible, reading from Revelations. And the devil who deceived them is cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, where they shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. You shall leave this house in the name of Jesus Christ. You must leave this house, etc., etc. And finally, we get to the final room in the house, and then he turns to me, tries to hand me the Bible, and says, "All right, your turn." And I apparently looked at him, and I don't remember saying this. I said, "I ain't doing that, S."
Yeah, he
Okay.
laughed at me
Yeah,
and
you
said,
are.
I ain't doing that. And it wasn't him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Yep.
Greg, what
And-
do you think? Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so he literally forced the Bible in my hand, which I'm glad he did. And then I started reading from Revelations, and then you could slowly start telling that it's starting to leave because I'm the one saying it. And I think I've said it like over 200 times, that same Bible verse.
What
And
verse did
finally,
you
I felt
use? Did you want to say it or?
Yeah, Revelations 20 and 10 is a lot that we use along with the Lord's Prayer and everything like that, and a few other passages I usually use every now and then, stuff like that. So come from it's pretty awesome.
It's helpful.
So I learned that from Pentecostal preacher.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to protect yourselves when you go in and after. Is there anything in particular that you both do with the RIP to protect yourselves when you do investigations?
Well, I would say that we are a faith-based group. We do pray before we go in, and we pray once we are done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one little trick that I use too, as well as while I'm in the middle of doing an investigation. You'll kind of see me like kind of walk to the side a little bit, and I'll say my own little silent prayer to protect me while I'm still doing the investigation.
Yeah, that helps. How about you, Greg?
Oh yeah. And yeah, that's what I do. That I lead everybody in the prayer before we go in. I lead everybody out of prayer. I do the same thing in charity events like we just did last weekend for last in Jefferson. We had like I don't know, probably 100 and something people come through our location, and we'll ask, hey, would you mind me doing a prayer for y'all, or if you rather not like that? And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, do the prayer." So we'll do a protection prayer for everybody as they come in and going. And I said, if they feel like they need one when they leave, I know me or Brandon go outside and do a prayer for them, and as they move on. So it makes it more comfortable for people when they're going in to do this, especially for the first time, and they're watching Ghost Adventures and everything when everything's a devil. So it's not.
Yeah, protection is an important thing for sure. I've had I know Teal, she talks a lot about different things, and they even say you should go as far as to not only just do that, but some people suggest saging and saging before and after your podcast and your house or your car or things like that. Do y'all ever do the sage thing?
We do the sage thing for people that want it. or if we're called over to do a blessing of a house or try to, get something negative out of the house, and we'll do that. I got holy water. I do all the same thing. I'm the same thing as Teal, and so is Brandon for the non-denominational preacher, reverend thing. So we have that whole dynamic going for us on the team. So,
did you want to talk a little bit about that? On do you go in? It sounds like you do houses in addition to residential places.
Oh yeah, we do cry for helps all the time, and then
are a lot of these people veterans,
me,
or just regular civilians?
Everyday people, everyday people.
That's good that you're helping out like that.
Yeah, I mean, myself, Brandon, and a former teammate of ours, and we love very dearly, Karina Hull. We would end up spending 4 or 5 hours just trying to bless this dark energy out of the house and stuff like that, because they'll attack us and fighting us to leave and stuff, but we're persistent and we'll stay with it. And we got the different types of protection stuff, like I don't know what's it, Palo or whatever those things. I don't know.
The wood, yeah,
yeah,
that's the popular one.
Karina's really good with that. Yeah, Karina's really good with those and stuff like that. But I'm good with the blessings and with the holy water and stuff like that. And Brandon is too. He's learned. He studied real well. He's been doing it almost 20 years now. So I'm very comfortable him leading and running it, and I'll just sit back and just chill and watch things now.
Like a proud papa.
That's right.
And I have been doing a lot of leading lately.
You have? Yeah. Did you want to talk about if somebody were to go to Texas, where do you recommend to do some paranormal tourism or paranormal investigations?
Texas.
Granbury.
Yeah.
Granbury, but I would have to say
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Granbury and Jefferson.
I would say also and this is like my cash cow of paranormal activity would have to be the Old Lavaca County Jail in Hallettsville, Texas, because
Old Lavaca County Jail.
I never tell anyone. I always tell people, we can't guarantee that you'll see anything, but we'll guarantee that you have a good time. I can't say that for the Old Lavaca County Jail, because we always get something going on over there. And just a real quick example. You're standing there in the jail, and you're seeing the cell bars, and it's complete blackness, like completely dark. You can't see anything.
Kind of like Greg right now. We can't see him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now picture that. Now picture white eyes and a white smile just appearing out of nowhere.
Okay.
And all three of us see it at the same time.
Like that.
Oh yeah, I was literally it looked exactly like this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of our paranormal investigators see things like that too, with the boots on the ground team. So listen, let's give a shout out to Rip and all of your fans. Do you want to give some shout outs to folks who want to follow you and where they can find you on your socials?
Yeah, all of our Rip, we call it the Rip Army. Since we're
the Rip Army?
Rip Army. And we got some pretty good loyal followers, and shout out to each and every one of those guys and gals and stuff, and they have a great time with us. They a lot of times everybody wants to reach out and want to ghost hunt and stuff, and we try to best we can, and but it's a very expensive hobby. And but it's more than a hobby to us. I mean, it's really our lifestyle that we do with each other, and try to help. And we try to do the best for the people. We do. Oh my gosh, well, I was about to say we do live stream Facebook investigations too.
Yeah, okay. Make sure y'all check out Rip, and where would people find your live stream investigations?
You go on Facebook, just type in research and investigation of the paranormal, and you will see our logo right there, and you'll see a couple of reels that my dad has done.
Logo.
And just go. Yep.
Okay. And I want to give
just go on there and you follow us.
Okay. And I want to give also a shout out here.
Texas on there.
RIP Texas. Let's give another shout out to the UPRN, the United Paranormal Network, over there in New Orleans. I like the way that they say that. At 107.7 FM, we're broadcasting with them right now, pre-recorded. And again, a big shout out to everybody today. We're recording on November 11th. This will come out tomorrow on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And everybody follow URPM on urpmtalkradio.com. And this is segment 1. Thank you so much for being on tonight. Now, do I have your consent to give a few more shout outs to yourself and your veterans on your page there, Greg?
Absolutely. But I do want to, real quick, I remember you just said, it reminded me that you're you got a radio out of New Orleans, right? So
that's right. Yeah, it's UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans.
All right, so they will know, and they will know now, the very most favorite place for Rip to go is the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, 30 minutes north of Baton Rouge. We've been there many times. We've been there to where they let us have the run of the whole place. We get more evidence collected than any TV ghost hunter has ever been there combined.
Nice.
And all of our stuff is history based. I've even caught a full-fledged picture of the maid
Winners?
that killed all the kids and everybody. Huh? Yeah, not the winners. It wasn't the winners at that time. Chloe, the maid.
Chloe, yes.
Ostracized and everything else. So, yeah. So we love it. They can go on our Facebook page and they'll see a lot of stuff on Myrtles that we've done.
On Myrtles. So there's one of your Facebook things there I got up. I don't know if you want to share anything about your team.
Yeah, that's out in Fort Lewis, Washington. And that's what's up there. And that was my my unit, my headquarters company right there, out there. We were running missions and stuff for getting prepared for going downrange, and that was a great bunch of guys right there. We was one of the last to wear those type of uniforms and shining boots at that time.
I'm going to take that one on.
Changed.
Well, thanks again, both of y'all, Brandon and Greg. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. And if you want to follow ParanormalNL Podcast, you can follow us on our link tree. And you can also, which is ParanormalNL Podcast, but you can also go to paranormal.nl.podcast@gmail.com if you want to be on the episode and reach out to us. We'll be more than glad to get you hooked up with our network. And again, follow Brandon and Greg in Texas. And if you're heading off to Texas, tell them again where to go.
Granbury, Texas.
Jefferson, Texas.
In Jefferson, Texas. So we're gonna put on some more of the Bog Team music here in the background for our rock and lots of other ones coming on again soon. So again, thank you all for listening. We are coming at you from UPRN United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, pre-recorded UPRN debut, segment 001. We've got Brandon Lee and Greg Stevens from RIP. Everybody follow them. Peace out to everybody.
Keep it tight.
Okay. I'm going to take you off stage and we'll do a quick exit. Just 1 sec. Peace out, everybody.